Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alicia.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Audie.
And I'm Tim.
Welcome to Adventures and Mousecapades.
This week, we're going to go back to school shopping with the added bonus of outfitting a dorm room for the first time in a few decades. So
It's been a while.
Yeah. Target is our friend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have, you may remember Audie. We've had her on from way back in the day. I think it was one of the really early episodes, I think under 10. I forget which number it was. And she's a travel agent and extraordinaire and just kind of an awesome person. Mm-hmm. And then she has her minder is here as well. Tim is her best friend for life. And we actually met Audie and Tim in 2013 mm-hmm. on our very first Panama Canal cruise. Yeah. We decided to show up to the port early and upgrade to one of the one-bedroom concierge before concierge was really what concierge is now. There on the Wonder, and yeah, you guys were right there in line with us first thing in the morning. So, Welcome back. It's good to see you all again.
It's great to see you guys.
Yeah,
good to be here.
So we're today going to talk about your adventure that you had a little earlier this year. Mm. You guys just decided to get on a boat and then stay on a boat for kind of forever. And you went from Miami all the way over to Barcelona and then went to Lisbon from there and got on another boat and tootled around Portugal. So let's kind of talk. Well, we're going to go Disney first.
Yes.
Okay.
So y'all were on the 13-night eastbound Transatlantic from Miami to Barcelona on the Disney Dream. This is one of the first time. It's the first time the Dream's gone over in, well, I say the modern era, I guess we'll call it. I think it's been to Europe before, though, hasn't it?
I only think when it came over.
From
Germany.
That's fair.
No, but it had not been to Europe before. It always had been the smaller ships that had been to Europe. And so she was born there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Miami, what was it like cruising out of Miami? Have you been down there for a cruise before?
Well, we have, and we have sailed out of the port of Miami. And it was kind of a crazy day. Our flight was delayed. I tend to not do so well when I'm looking at the details for our own travel. But I will tell you, I always check, dot the I's and cross the T's for our guests, but I did not realize that it was Formula One, right?
Yes.
Formula One weekend.
Yeah.
And so it was like half the streets were shut down, and we had a heck of a time getting a transfer from the airport to the hotel. Yeah. And our hotel happened to be right in downtown at the hotel where some of the Formula One people were staying, teams were staying. So we didn't know that. So we were really unaware of it all. Not such a smart travel move, but met a lovely mom and her son and got to talk and had a good time. But when we got to the hotel, we didn't leave because it was a little difficult.
Yeah. Were you just there overnight?
Yeah, we just went overnight. And then the next morning when we went to the Port of Miami. So the Port of Miami has had a ton of growth.
Oh, okay.
There's been several of the bigger cruise lines, the major cruise lines that are starting to call Miami home. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of shifting between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And so Fort Lauderdale is under a lot of construction. Miami is under a lot of construction. Mm. And when we went, the construction it was difficult to get to the port. I thought, traffic snarls don't bring out the best in humanity.
No.
What should have been a 15-minute transfer became a 45-minute transfer.
Oh, my goodness.
To basically just cross the street to get from the hotel we were staying at to the port of Miami. Wow. It was crazy.
Yeah, and ours was a 45-minute drive only because we had a very very kind, very nice transfer driver who was a tad bit aggressive on the road. So we got there, but we weren't popular when we got there. That's for dang sure.
So your itinerary starts off with a whole bunch of days at sea. I think it's 6 days at sea. Which sea day was your favorite?
All of them. Literally.
I knew he was going to say that.
5 out of the 6 days were perfect weather. I mean, you would have thought we were sailing in the inside passage of Alaska. The water was so smooth. I was blown away. Very unusual weather conditions. 75 degrees, sunny, flat, no sea to speak of. And the one day that it was not, it was just a little bit of rain. So those 6 sea days were just perfect.
Have you all done a transatlantic before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What number
and it
was
was not that way.
Oh.
This was number 2.
Okay.
And the very first one, to begin with, our itinerary got shifted a little because of the ice flow in Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow.
And Iceland. So we didn't get to go up the East Coast that way. And that one was going into Copenhagen, not Barcelona. So it was taking a different route anyway.
Right.
But every day, the foghorn went all day, every day. On the first transatlantic. It was, other than the foghorn, it was a great sailing, but,
So smooth sailing this one. That's awesome.
Yes,
Very
it was
much
beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky. The seas were like glass. We saw all kinds of marine life.
Nice.
We have never seen marine life when we were sailing the Atlantic. And this time around, we saw all kinds of stuff.
That's awesome.
We saw a whale jump.
Oh,
We
very
did.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to see a breach.
We know the magic of sea days after being on board the Wonder during the pandemic shutdown cruise from New Orleans to San Diego in March of 2020. What do you say to folks who question your sanity of having so many sea days in a row? Don't you get bored is what we often hear.
I think the ships are very good. Disney especially is good about preparing and planning for that. And so there's all kinds of things to actually do on the ship. I mean, everything from going to see first run movies to playing bingo to trivia to we had an amazing experience every morning with all of those days at sea. Our day started off with the morning show with the cruise director and assistant cruise director who need to have their own stand-up comedy routine. And it was immediately followed by a guest chef who, John Aston, who was just, one of the most favorite people I have met. I can absolutely say he needs to be Mr. Positive. That's my new name for him. But he was amazing. We learned to cook. We got to drink wine early in the morning.
Perfect.
So we really enjoyed it. And then there was also a Disney...
like a historian.
Thank you, historian. There's the word. But his conversations were, his topics, his lectures were amazing. My 2 favorite books I read over the summer were from his recommended reading list. So,
cool. Yeah, it was going to be one of the questions I asked. That we had, gosh, I forget his name, Captain
Puckett.
Captain Puckett. That was it. That was it.
An unforgettable personality.
Yes, absolutely. And he was on our Panama Canal cruise, and I really enjoyed all those lectures. So I was going to ask, was there the same kind of thing? And it sounds like there definitely was on these longer voyages. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then on our second Panama Canal cruise, we had Leslie Iwerks.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. Yeah.
I saw her speak a few years ago at a Disney event, and she's inspiring.
Yeah. She helped out because I think she had a planned event and was going to show like episode 1 of the documentary.
Imagination Story.
And then that was going to be it. Like I think she was on the cruise for the whole cruise, but she only had one like big event. And then the pandemic shut down everything and we didn't get any, we had 10 days on the ship in a row, I think it was. And so, everybody was scrambling to do different things. And one of the things that she did was like, hey, I'll just set up this series. And we watched every single episode with her. And then she'd like answer questions and stuff like that. It was phenomenal. It was good.
Super cool.
Yeah.
It was the same way with the chef, the celebrity chef that they brought on board. He was only scheduled, I think, for 3 performances or shows, but the response, the feedback was so phenomenal that that they extended him for basically all the sea days. He got off, I think, in Barcelona. His shows were just a standing room only, literally. And like Audie said, he was part motivational speaker, part celebrity chef, part comedian. One of my favorite memories, just real quick, sometimes the sommeliers that you meet on the ship are a little dry, a lot of knowledge, but maybe not conversational. And the one on the Dream was that way. And the very first day, Chef Aston brought him on board, or brought him onto the show to present the wine. It was a little awkward, but every day after that, the chef did such a great job of drawing his personality out that by the end, the sommelier had his own theme song, had his own routine. It's just classic Disney, classic.
For the chef, was he cooking dishes like in the mornings, and were guests cooking dishes, or was he showing you how to do that? Or
no, he had prepared recipes that he was working on, and it was always something that had to do with where we were going. So, like, we learned some Portuguese cooking, and we learned some Spanish cooking, and we learned some regional information. And then he would talk about cooking in general and cooking tips. And one of my favorite things was he would take questions, and your questions were not too big and not too small. Like, there were the foodies in the group who had their, their chef style questions. And then there were people who had like your basic questions, and each one of them he answered with such enthusiasm and with such, interest in why they were asking that question, that you never felt like, I can't ask this question because I don't know anything. Instead, it was always like, oh, I have a question I've always wanted to ask someone. And so he was just really good about kind of meeting you where you are, and bringing that regional food to life. And we, and when we would try some of those dishes in some of the places we went to see, we'd go, oh, I can taste this here. And so it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
So for this Transatlantic, it was also one of the silver anniversary at seas for DCL, which was the 25th anniversary, right? What did they do for this? Did they do anything different?
They did. Disney doesn't pass up any chance to celebrate, and so they had the usual things that you would expect to see. The special decorations and costumes that the characters would wear, but each of the lounges would have specialty drinks centered around the 25th anniversary, and specialty coasters. And there was, 25th anniversary coffee, and a 25th anniversary martini, and a 25th anniversary chocolate dessert. And so they really, really went big into the silver anniversary. It was fun. I mean, it really was. The characters are always a big draw, and they all had their special 25th anniversary costumes on, and that just the lines for character photographs were exceptionally long because of that, I think.
How full was the ship?
Well, typically on these longer sailings, they're not nearly as at capacity, because it's a lot of couples sailing.
Right.
There's very few families, because those longer sailings, kids just can't miss that much school.
Right.
And so it was probably, I think they told us 60% full.
Yeah.
So it was
55,
nice.
60%.
Yeah. And Disney also has done a really good job of setting up those, those types of opportunities that are a little more spontaneous for you in these anniversaries, and in these special, like the days at sea type of holiday, merry time, and Halloween at sea, and those things. They've done some really good jobs. So like they'll have these little like photo opportunities throughout the ship that you can, you don't necessarily have to have a photographer there. It's kind of like that selfie opportunity. And then of course the merchandise is always a big thing. I mean, the Transatlantic was the very first silver anniversary sailing for the Disney Dream.
Right.
And so there was, you know how it is. Disney pretends like they keep it all a secret, but everybody knows ahead of time what the merchandise is. And the line for the merchandise was like crazy. And we went to see, and it was like, okay, there's nothing we can live without here except this one thing.
Yeah.
We got the 25th anniversary Bluetooth speaper.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
The floating ship, the floating Disney ship that is a Bluetooth speaker.
But for the silver anniversary, it's actually has its own edition.
Yes,
Right.
we got the 25th anniversary edition, and I will tell you, so we happened to be sailing concierge on this particular sailing, and so the concierge said, before roll these out to everybody, do you want one? Do you want two? We said, yeah, we'll do two, and she said, well, we'll deliver them to your room, and I'm thinking Bluetooth speaker,
Right, just a little
Bluetooth
thing.
speaker.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And instead, what was delivered to our room was something that needed its own suitcase. It was
Two of them.
huge. Yes, two of them. It was huge. And I walked in and I said, oh my, what have we done? But then we opened them up and connected them to the phone and had a little dance party in the room because they do their own music and their own light show. And I went, oh, these are pretty special.
Yeah.
So those were cool. Those
I'm
were cool.
glad
And
you
I
got
will
those.
admit, I will admit that one was a lot of fun.
I'm hoping they will be in stock for our December sailing. I know they won't have the 25th anniversary anymore, but even just the regular DCL Bluetooth.
It is really nice. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, we could get one of those, and then we'll have to buy a pool and just to use it, right? Like,
that'll be interesting in Seattle.
yeah, we'll get a ton of use out of that. Well, it'll get filled for free.
They're super cool. They're fun, and they're just fun. I mean, they're just fun.
There was a bunch of stops on this cruise. You hit Ponta Delgada, which is in the Azores, the islands there, kind of in the middle of the Atlantic-ish. You hit Lisbon, Cadiz, Malaga, Cartagena, not the one in Colombia, but the one in Spain, and ended up in Barcelona. What are some of the highlights from those ports that you guys hit?
I know we're going to say it at the same time. The Azores.
Yeah.
Surprisingly beautiful. I mean, not, you always have expectations about the places you're going to visit. And, you're looking at Lisbon and you're looking at Cadiz and you're looking at some of these other stops and going, wow, that's going to be amazing. The Azores were kind of an afterthought. It was just like, that's going to be the break in the days at sea. And it turned out to be one of the more epic stops just because of the sheer beauty of the island itself. I mean, I'd never seen volcanic craters that were, they had two different lakes that were, the calderas from extinct volcanoes. One was a blue lake and one was a green lake. And of course, there was a whole mythic story about why one was blue and one was green, which tied it all in. But it was just a fabulous stop. And there was a religious festival that weekend or that month, I guess it was running on, in which they put fresh cut flowers and greenery, made pathways in the streets leading from the church to different spots in the city. And that was just beautiful and fragrant and amazing.
Oh, wow.
It was this community celebration. It was, I'm trying to remember. I think it was the Mother Teresa of the Azores celebration. It was, it involved their churches. And so the community would come together and each family would have a portion of this pathway. And so like 2 feet by about 4 feet was their pathway. And each family would design a pattern and they would use fresh floral herbs, grasses, and then they would design these patterns using the floral. And it was just, I mean, it smelled amazing. It was absolutely stunning. And it literally would stretch for like a mile or two. It was gorgeous. It was just gorgeous.
That's fantastic.
It was a lovely story of community and how the families all come together, and it was great. And so we really enjoyed walking that little trail. And
that sounds really special.
It was a really great start to the land portion of the cruise.
Yeah. Did you do port adventures in all of the stops, or did you do more of figuring things out on your own, or just kind of walking around?
Well, these were all new stops for us, other than Barcelona, the final stop. These were all places that we had never personally visited. So we did, we booked all our excursions through the ship in each of the towns. But we could have easily done our own deal. I mean, everything was right there as you got off the ship. It wasn't one of those deals like in Rome, Civitavecchia, where you have to drive for 90 minutes to get to, the heart of Rome to see things. This was just walking off, basically. But all the stops were beautiful. They each had their own personality. I think everybody had a bull ring. I think every town in Portugal and Spain had a bull ring. But other than that, they were all distinctly different and unique.
Any highlights from Lisbon or Cadiz or the other cities?
I really enjoyed, we did a tuk-tuk tour in Lisbon, when we were with the ship and, with the Disney cruise ship, and, that was just a ton of fun. We really enjoyed it. Our driver was just a hoot, and, so and we were with another couple that we had met on the ship, and so we had a lot of fun on that day, and then on Malaga Day, that town was just it was smaller, but yet it was so unusually cosmopolitan for such a small place. It was very, ancient in its fort and some of those things that we saw, and then you would, like, turn a corner, and you would think you were going into this, like, historical district, and yet it felt very modern, and the
Hmm.
architecture was gorgeous, and, so that one was kind of this really odd difference in the way, but it was fun, and it was really pretty, and we did some walking around on our own there. That's where we got caught in the rain. But it was nice, and there was a market that was going on that day, and that was nice. So we enjoyed it.
The food there was amazing. I mean, you've got we got to experience the famous egg custard, the pastiche de nata in Lisbon. We learned why Spanish almonds are so important. When our first stop, I think, was in Cadiz. Each little community had their own special food specialty, food item or beer or wine that they were very proud of that they produced in their community, and those were we love sampling the local flavor every chance we get, as you well know.
I remember that. Yes, we've sampled many local flavors and drinks, and yes, good stuff.
Well, we one of our first stops in Spain, I think it was Cadiz that I kept marveling. So down here in South Texas where we live, there's not a lot of, color in our palm trees. And so it's just warm and it's hot. And so we don't have a lot of different colors. But there was this one tree that was just gorgeous. And I kept saying, oh, those trees are lovely. And they would give me the polite, I'm your tour guide smile, and you're an American. Sure, yeah, they're beautiful. And finally, this one guy said, we hate these trees. We hate them. I said, how could you hate them? They're beautiful. And then he said, go walk over there where the trees had shed the flowers. And it was sticky. And he goes, they get all over everything. And I said, oh, but they're kind of pretty.
Do you remember the name? Jacaranda?
Jacarandas. That's what it was. Yeah. They were really pretty. They were beautiful trees, but apparently they're a pest. And so we won't try to grow them here in South Texas, but they were gorgeous. And I love it when you get to have that kind of moment with your local guides. When you make an observation and they go, well, or they say, yeah, but let me tell you more about that. It's always great when they don't try to hide they don't tell you what they think you want to hear. They tell you,
yeah.
That's my favorite part of travel is when you really get to learn that local flavor.
Yeah. And I remember Alicia telling me once that her dad was visiting North Carolina and he was really intrigued by this vine. He's like, oh, this is beautiful. I should take some of this home. And she's like, Dad, that's kudzu. That's gonna go no, do not. Yeah.
That does not need to be introduced to the Washington State area. Nope.
No.
People will hate you forever.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
That vine might get a new name.
Exactly.
Right.
One of the nice things about going on longer cruises is there is just a whole bunch of different shows and entertainment options that are offered that you just won't see on the 4-night, 5-night, or even the 7 nights. What are some of the shows and entertainment that they had that were different this go round?
Well, they did the usual, the normal productions, and then they had some different singers and performers, and of course, the comedians are always absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
And then we got to see an illusionist, and Tim actually got to make an appearance. He's now applying to be a member of the Academy because he is a stage performer now.
Oh, you got called up?
Paid stage performer.
Wow.
Yes.
I got a whole 5 British pounds for my performance.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'm if it wasn't for the strike, I would already be applying for my SAG card, but oh well.
The union's going to take a little bit of that those 5 pounds.
Right. Well, I still got it on my desk. I haven't put it in the bag.
Okay. Good.
One of the fun things about that is you get recognized all across the ship because you were up top, right?
It was there was a section where he literally went behind the curtain so that I was the only one standing on the stage, and he was feeding me lines, and it was a little intimidating. I'm not going to lie. That was a lot of pressure for just one little old guy to do.
Well, and there was this one woman in the audience that kept laughing really loud too. So,
No, the entertainment was excellent. I mean, always the Broadway caliber shows are great, and there was a crew talent show type production as well, which is unique to the longer sailings.
Yeah.
The stage, the music acts, the illusionists, they were fantastic. I mean, 13 nights went by so quickly. People don't believe it that have only, have not sailed or only done the 3 or 4 nighters.
Yeah.
They can't imagine what it would be like to be on for, 2 whole weeks. But it really went fast. Even with all those sea days, it went fast.
Yeah. Now we do a short cruise and we're like, this is horrible. Why do we keep signing up for these?
To get to Pearl.
Yeah, to get to Pearl is the only reason.
Well, you get on the ship and you go, don't unpack. Just leave everything in the suitcase.
Right.
There's something to be said for 7 nights and longer. If you can make it happen, that's the route to go. Yep. For all the reasons that Alicia has already mentioned, the extra entertainment and the specialty speakers and just the chance to really relax, unpack, and unwind. Yeah, and really experience the ship.
And you got a lot of special food menus as well, because that's one of the things that they have to do when they're doing these longer cruises. Is even a 7-night cruise, you basically have your main rotation that all 3 dining rooms have. There's always like the B rotation to fill out like a 7-night cruise. Well, of course, you got Pirate Night in there as well. But then I was kind of looking at your itinerary a bit, and there's a page on there on the Disney Cruise Line blog that has like all of the navigators and everything posted and what the dinner menus are. You had a 3rd rotation that had like a land and sea menu at Royal Palace. You had World of Flavor at Animators and the Greek Isles menu, dinner menu at Enchanted Garden. How was that?
Yummy. So I love it when Disney does those unique things because it's an opportunity for the chefs to kind of show off a little.
Yeah.
And so they really go all out when they do those. And you can tell that the crew has had a chance to maybe preview it a little as guinea pigs.
Yeah.
And so they're super excited about telling you about these new menus. And so, ooh, try this. It's so good. Let me just bring you everything. And so it was a lot of fun. And we happened to run into a server who is like part of the family friend now. And we didn't know he was on the ship because he's terrible at Facebook and emailing. And we were literally headed towards our safety drill. And I had sat down to do a little bit of work before we sailed away, and all I see is Tim take off down the deck on deck 4, and I look up in time to see him just hugging this individual, and I looked, and it was like, oh my word, that's Shane. And I left my phone everything right there, jumped up, ran. We were hugging, we were crying. It was like, oh, we didn't know you were on the ship. I didn't know you were on the ship.
Yeah.
And he was going to do the safety drill. We had to report. And so we got through the drill and went straight to guest services and said, we need a change in dining.
Right. Right.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
And so Disney being Disney, they accommodated us without a problem. And so every night it was so much fun with those new menus. Shane would come out and he would say, I got to do this one. And you want to try this one.
Yeah.
And he knows that I can't have dairy. And he would go, you can't have this one. So let me just tell you how good it is. So, well, thanks. Thank you. But it was fun.
I saw that on night 7 or day 7, however Disney likes to count it, there was a Transatlantic menu. Was this just like leftovers from stuff from the first week that they were just throwing in, like pulling stuff out of the fridge and see what they can put together? Or what is a Transatlantic menu?
Well, if I remember right, that one was the introduction to the upcoming stops, right? So that one had a little bit of Portuguese and Spanish food. It was heavy on seafood.
Yeah, I think they started introducing the regional stuff on the second half of the cruise, because that was when we hit the Azores, and then we had one more day at sea, and then it was stop. And one of the things that the celebrity chef did as well is when he would do his demonstrations in the morning, he would utilize a lot of the Disney chefs, bakers, and other specialties that he would bring on stage with him and introduce, and they had fun with it as well. And I think that showed when they got their turn to present their cooking skills in those the last half of the cruise, whether it was a Spanish cuisine or something for Portugal. It was outstanding. It really was.
And we did Palo a couple of nights, and our Palo server happened to be from Portugal.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And so we felt like we knew everything there was to know about Portugal after having Palo with him a couple of times. And then when we would see him around the ship, he would say, did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that? And it was always so much fun.
Good to get those pro tips from the locals.
Yes.
So the Dream spent over a decade doing what I like to call Disney's milk run, like the 3 nights, the 4 nights, like out of Port Canaveral. And then it's spent the last year-ish doing, 4 and 5 nighters out of Miami once the Wish came to town. Like, that's a lot of cruise turns. How is she holding up? We saw pictures and heard from some people who were on the Magic before her dry dock earlier this year, and she was definitely in need of some heavy TLC. How's the Dream doing?
She looked really good. I mean, that was one of the attractions for us in booking that cruise, was that it was, we knew we wanted to do the Transatlantic anyway, because the Portugal river cruise was the main goal. But when this popped up and it was the Dream, it's like, wow, talk about getting two birds for the price of one stone. I mean, that the Dream is a ship that we have not sailed on as much as the Magic and the Wonder. And so, but she looked great. I mean, all the common areas were spit spot, and all the dining rooms are great. And there was a palpable excitement among the crew because, as you described, they had been used to the same old, to get to go across the Atlantic and all these brand new stops for most of them. Some of them had been to Cadiz because that's where a lot of the refurbs happen. But I thought she was in tremendous shape.
That's great. That's good to hear. We're going to be on the Dream in April.
Yeah. That's the one we haven't been on yet.
Yep.
We haven't ever been on the Dream.
Got to check the box.
You're going to love it. I mean, you've done the fantasy, so it's kind of like the Magic and the Wonder being sisters. The Dream and the fantasy are sisters, and so the design elements will be just a little different, but the layout is the same. It's the Wish that's the wild card in the bunch. I'm interested to see what the Treasure is going to be like.
Yeah.
As are we.
Yes.
I think they have, they have some work to do, I think. Drawers in the room would be nice. That would be great. Just starting there. But that is a whole other podcast episode to get into that.
I know it's not part of the cruise, but how was Barcelona? That city is definitely on our bucket list.
Well, we didn't get to spend much time there because we literally got off the ship, got into a cab, and went to the airport. But we'd been to Barcelona before.
Okay.
So we have experienced Barcelona. I love Barcelona. It is a beautiful city. Down by the port is right by Las Ramblas, which is the big, like a main strip of activity in that city. It has markets, it has lots and lots of hotels and dining there. A lot of those squares, those European. So you'll take a right, and the next thing you know, you're in this huge square,
Right.
and it feels ancient and modern all in one breath. It's just the oddest. It's the oddest. That's what I say every time we go to Europe. It's like, oh, this is all so old. Why does it look so new? and it's beautiful, and it's a very different culture. We went to Barcelona on our first day. We got there at around 11, and with jet lag, we really were trying to push ourselves to stay awake until at least 6 o'clock at night. Little did we know that there really is such a thing as siesta. And so, when I was looking for afternoon coffee at 3 o'clock so that I could stay awake until 6, there was nothing open. I was like, what's wrong with these people? I just need coffee. But it's a beautiful city with so much to see and do. It's very active. The art, the architecture. Oh my word.
Yeah.
Well, and the food,
it's a delightful
it's a big
place to
foodie
visit.
place too. The celebrity chef that we've gone on and on about, he had tons of recommendations for guests that were going to be staying over in Barcelona. They were either doing back-to-back cruises or getting off and spending some time in Barcelona. He had tons of restaurant recommendations. That's like, man, I would love to have had more time to explore. But if you get a chance when you're over in Barcelona, we spent 3 days in Madrid at the end of our river cruise. And that was an eye opener. We'd only been to Madrid as an airport stop, getting back home from Barcelona. But to actually get to walk the city and experience Madrid was phenomenal. I mean, again, it's kind of like the Azores were an eye opener. Madrid, at the end of everything, you think, well, we're just ready to go home or whatever. But it turned out to be, the perfect cherry on top of our travel Sunday.
Well, that's a great teaser for next week's episode, because we're gonna talk about all of that stuff and your river cruise next week. So, listener, make sure you like and subscribe and all of that good stuff, and stay tuned. So, thank you, Tim. Your check's in the mail. Well done.
Is there anything else about the Transatlantic or the silver anniversary at sea that we haven't covered that you want to mention?
We unfortunately did not get the full 25th anniversary fireworks. Apparently, there weren't many children on the ship, but apparently one of them got under the safety rail, and Disney is true to their word, safety first, and the fireworks were shut off immediately. So we got about 3 minutes of fireworks before the sky was just stars, the natural ones. And we went, I wonder what's going on. And then the next day we learned that that's what it was. And we were not going to get a second opportunity to do it because of where it was scheduled.
Right.
And, I'm sure there's all kinds of paperwork that has to be done to do fireworks at sea. And so we didn't get that opportunity. But our guests who have been sailing over the summer have just said what an incredible job Disney has done with that part of it, and making it feel like it's just a normal part of a Disney cruise, which, this could be good and could be bad. Now everybody's going to be expecting the 25th anniversary. And like everything with Disney just goes all out when it's a theme. So whether you're doing Halloween on the High Seas or Maritime cruises or Pixar Days at Sea, Marvel Days at Sea, it's just, you have to try hard not to find a way to get involved with that. And it's just, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good place to close off this conversation, and we will pick up next week with the river cruise. What?
Hold on.
What?
We gotta do Tim's Disney favorites.
Oh, we do. I gave you short shrift. I apologize. Mea culpa. Alicia, take it away. It's time to grill Tim.
These are easy. It's just I'm going through your favorites. Think of it like a rapid fire, like top of your head, first answer.
Okay.
Who's your favorite Disney character?
Mickey Mouse.
All right.
I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of popular.
Yeah.
Favorite movie?
Ooh.
That can include Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel.
I'm probably going to go with the First Avenger, Captain America, First Avenger. He's my favorite.
Favorite Disney ride?
Ooh, that's a good one too. I really like Mission Space, orange version.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
I know, nobody wants to ride with me.
Nope. Pass. Hard pass.
I like the green one too, but the no spinning version. But
yeah,
Mission Space.
I wouldn't mind trying it again.
I would mind trying.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't want to do it. Yeah.
It's okay. I have grandchildren. I'm working on a crew. I just need 3 out of the 5 to come through for me.
There you go. Disney World or Disneyland?
Ooh, it used to be I would say Disney World right off the bat, but having been at Disneyland quite a bit the last couple of years, I'm still going to say World just because of the additional parks. Having Animal Kingdom and Epcot. In addition to Studios and Magic Kingdom, plus the water parks, plus Disney Springs, World.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of all the individual parks that you've been to, which one is your favorite?
Probably I'm going to go with Disneyland, just because you can really see Walt's fingerprints on everything there, and it makes once you've been to the original, it makes you appreciate all the variants that have come afterwards. Seeing how it all began and how they plussed it in other parks is pretty cool.
Your favorite hotel or resort?
Probably going to say Aulani, just because of the theme.
Audie's here going like, wait, what?
Who knew?
It is a hard Animal Kingdom. Kidani Village is our home resort for our DVC ownership, and it's hard to beat the animals outside your room.
Yep.
And you never know what you're going to get day to day in terms of the interactions with the animals. But Aulani, just in terms of the unique impact that people go there and they don't know what to expect, and it's really very respectful of the Hawaiian culture, the design and the layout, and the fact that all the cast is basically from the islands. And just thematically, that's probably the most epic resort that I've visited.
Here.
DCL ship.
Oh, Wonder.
Yep, that's the right answer.
Favorite too.
The Wonder and the Magic have the majority of our sailings. We're Pearl. We're not going to be getting our name on Lighthouse Point on one of those, you sell this 50 times banners just yet. But the Wonder has a special place in my heart.
Favorite Disney restaurant?
Oh, I'm going to say Sanaa and Kidani Village. It's such a different taste palette than what we are used to here in South Texas. The spices and the textures. It's just and then the animals again right outside the window.
Last one. Favorite Disney snack?
I really have kind of started to gravitate towards the Mickey ice cream sandwich. I mean,
a classic.
I like the Mickey bar still, but sometimes if it's just not frozen just the right way, when you take that first bite, all the chocolate seems to pop
falls off.
So the ice cream sandwich has now become my kind of go-to Disney snack.
Perfect.
There you go.
All right, that's all the questions that I have for you. You passed.
That was hard. The movie was the hardest one.
A weight off your shoulders.
Yes. I feel like I'm part of the Nathan and Alicia fan club now.
There you go. All right. Well, listener, please tune in next week. We will continue this conversation then. Until then, you're going to hear us say a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo about legal stuff and like and subscribe and leave a comment and all the rest of that good stuff. So future me, insert that right now.
We are not affiliated with Disney, and we are not travel agents. While we can offer our opinions and our suggestions, we do recommend working with a travel agent to plan your perfect vacation.
If you have questions or suggestions or would like to be interviewed on our show, to share your Disney experiences, please send an email to podcast@ourmousecapades.com.
You can follow us on socials at Our Mousecapades. And please do us a favor, rate and review in your podcast app. It really helps people find us, and it just helps us out too.
Smash that like button.
Ring the bell.
Thanks for listening. We'll be in your ears next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.